Hello lovely people, so I bought a microphone and from previous uploads I can tell that my voice is not any louder, but it's very messy and blurry. You can hear a lot of background noises with the mic, so I decided to, just go for it without a mic and we will see. So you can see we are doing this butterfly portrait, and the first shade I'm going in with is Quinacridone Gold with Naples yellow reddish. It is my favorite color combination for the skin. I think it's is still a bit too yellow, but we are going to add transparent umber to the shadowed areas and even some blues, and that's when it will all start to come together. If you saw the thumbnail for this video, then you see that in the end it's kind of okay. And you can see on the right hand side that I kept a plate there, and for that reason this video is going to be a lot longer, because I want you to see how much paint I put onto my brush, how much water I'm using. And on the upper right corner you can see the mixture of the skin tone that I'm creating, and how I'm starting to slowly add more and more definition to the face. And I think it's important to add to be able to see, and I didn't do that before. I just zoomed in on the actual drawing. So now we are adding the transparent umber, and we are creating shadows and therefore making more contrast, and the middle part of the face is more highlighted. And I recently followed a tutorial of a bunny that I didn't like at all. I mean, I kind of liked the end result, but there was not much explanation of where the paint goes. So I'm trying to improve on that too, because I didn't like that in that other person's YouTube video. I'm not going to say who it is, because I actually love the person, so I'm just not going to say any negative things about her. And so I just want to let you know that wherever you can see the shade around the face, wherever the hair blows a little shadow onto the face, the chin area is highlighted by creating shadows just right below the lips. And now I'm adding Sap Green to the eye, and there is no shadowing there. I'm just applying it however I feel fit. And right in the middle of her eye I'm going to leave a white spot for sparkle or whatever, a shine or reflection. And if I could redo this, I would completely do it differently. I saw this trick in another channel as well, and I don't like it. And now I'm adding transparent umber and start shaping the nose. That's another important thing which is often overlooked, and I'm adding some, it looks like mid-tones, but it's going to be the shadowed areas. The only thing that is going to be darker than that will be the eyes and the nostrils. I mean, regarding her face, because obviously the butterflies and the background, there is going to be quite a bit of shadowing there and contrast. So now I'm still using that same transparent umber, and I'm creating shadows for the eyes and the eyebrows. So the middle part is going to be as highlighted as possible. However, there are some areas that needs to be contrasted. in order to stand out as a proper face. And after doing the brows, I'm going to go ahead and do the nostrils, which is a lot darker than you know, the shadow areas around her face. And then, to suggest that the light comes slightly from the right, I'm going to go ahead and just paint the left side of her nose, the line, how it goes, how it connects to the tip of the nose. And then, using Quinacridone Coral and Van Dyke Brown mixture, I'm going to start painting the lips. The general rule for the lips is that usually the top lip is in the shadow. If you have a look at your relatives, your friends, or whoever you get a chance to, or even if you look at in the mirror, you will see the corners of the lips are always darker, and the top of the lip is usually in the shadow, and the middle where the two connects is the darkest place. So just start from there and you will get it. It is hard, I know. It took me quite some time to realize all of this. And after you get the initial shadows, then you can start building up. You know, the middle area where the two lips close is the darkest, and just slowly fade out as you reach to the top of the lip. The top of the lip is never contrasted because then it would look like she has lip liner on or lipstick on. So after we are done with the top lip, we are going to move to the bottom, and I start by adding a line right in the middle to divide the bottom lip into two parts, and then I'm going to line very lightly the bottom just to give a definition of where it does end. However, it should not be any darker than the line on the top lip. And then I just colored the two corners, so the middle area is kept completely white for the highlights. And now with the yellow ochre, I'm going to paint wet onto wet the background. It's going to be an abstract background, so there are no rules around that, how you should paint the background. And then I switch to turquoise, the helio, and I'm going to paint that into the background as well, just very lightly, and then later on we will move on to add some definition and contrast. And while I paint the background, I just wanted to tell you that this particular outline of this girl with the butterflies is available on my Patreon. So if you decide to join, the tires are just from $1, and for $1 you already get the 2 coloring pages per month. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. If you love watercolors, then please come and join. So now we are in the phase of getting some more saturated colors around the face with the turquoise, the helio color. And yeah, it's just however you like to do this. There are no rules what to do or how to do. It's just how you feel fit to color the background. You can do as you like. And also, if you don't have this exact shade, you can just switch up with any color that you like. But for no particular reasons, I wanted to color this whole painting with mostly blues and browns. So one of my downsides is that I have very low self-esteem, and that makes me, that kind of, you can see it from my painting as well, That makes me paint a lot slower than other artists. So I just keep painting and repainting the surface, which comes in handy when you are painting with watercolors, as you really should go from light to dark and layer by layer and very slowly. So it takes quite a lot of time to get to where you want to go. Now I'm switching back to your yellow ochre and adding some more definition, some more contrast. However, I did see some artists do the same technique with different paintings, but the same technique but only one layer, so it is possible if you are not that patient. However, if you are like me, then just keep on painting layer by layer and keep adding on color. So my surface is still a little bit wet here, not that much, just a little wet, and that's why it looks like it's melting, kind of melting into the background. It does have some hard edges, but not as much as in the beginning of this video, or of the painting of the background. And the third color we are going to add to the background is transparent umber, and I'm just going to do some dot painting, which will not be visible or not be that much visible in the end. As you can see, it's still wet into wet, so when I'm painting these little dots, they already spread out and melt into each other, so you can't really see that it is dots, but they are. And just like with the first two colors, there are no reasons for me to do, no particular rules. I'm just going with how I feel and how I like to paint at the moment. So yeah, just experiment and create your own patterns. Now we are moving on to the butterflies, which is a very exciting part. I'm going in wet on dry and just start painting with the pure yellow. And then when I'm done with the yellow, I'm going to just melt this in with other colors. So in the beginning I started with two different butterflies, but then I just go one by one because it needs to be quick. So adding sap green to the first butterfly, and I'm just going to make sure there are plenty of water. So the next color I'm using is yellow ochre, and I'm just melting it together with the yellow, and I'm just painting wherever it's white. So in the end it's gonna look like it's going from within, but we are going to add some indigo around the around the wings to make it contrasty and quite obvious that they are butterflies. So just don't mind about, you know, the edges or wherever we drew it before. And now you can see me fixing some areas that are kept white, which is around the butterfly with turquoise the helio, and I'm just going in very slowly, very carefully, and making sure that the color melts into the background. Now I kind of sped it up because, you know, it's just adding the same exact things to the rest of the butterflies, but with the Quinacridone Red Light, Permanent Carmine, and Ultramarine Finest. So we have one butterfly with different colors, so it's more colorful. Now I am moving on to the hair and painting stroke by stroke some strings of hair. Here the main thing that I'm doing is just making sure that my strokes fall around the face in a way that it would do in real life. So I'm kind of trying to make it natural looking, but it by no means it is realistic. And I always say that in every single video of mine, that the reason why I move on from one area to the other, kind of looking like I'm not doing it in a logical way is that I'm waiting until one area dries. So right now I'm going to switch back to painting the butterfly, but the reason for that is because the hair needs to dry, the first layer that I just painted. So using indigo color, I'm going to paint some contrast around the butterflies, which was pre-drawn before. So if you have a closer look at the outline that I initially drew, you can see it's already there. So I'm just going over it with indigo paint, as contrasted and dark as possible. Now this is also a part that is very interesting, but on the long term it can be boring. So I'm just going to speed it up by 16 times. And I just suggest that you keep doing what I'm doing right here if you paint along. One thing to keep in mind is to have enough space in the middle where it is visible that the colors are built up from two different shades, so that it kind of looks like it's glowing from within. And also I gave a little bit of thickness to the end of the wings because we are going to go in with white marker or jelly roll pen and add a bit of a detail to the end of the wings. Next step is going to add turquoise helio, which is our background color, to the side of the face so that it is more cohesive. This technique is called the glazing, which means that basically we have undergone this layer with three different shades at this point. The Quinacridone Gold, the Naples yellow, Reddish, and the transparent Umber. And now when it's all dry, we are going to go in with turquoise the helio, and this is just going to make it more cohesive, make it more unified, not unique. And I'm adding crystal clear water to the edge so that it creates a nice melting effect. It doesn't have a clear edge, but it slowly fades into the middle of the face, which is still completely white. And we are doing the same exact thing on the left hand side of the face. First I did wet it, so we are going in wet into wet on this side of the face. The other side was wet on dry. This is just an easier way to create a melting effect or a fading effect so that it doesn't have this clear edge around where I stop painting. And when we are done with that, we are going to move back onto the hair, which is completely dry by now, so we can add a second layer of hair strokes. And I'm doing the exact same thing that I did before, which was, if you still remember, adding pure yellow and mimicking the fall of hair around the face. One thing that I do make sure is that the top and the bottom, so where the hair starts and when it ends, is the darkest. So the middle part can be light as can be, but this is just the easiest method to create natural looking hair. It's not a realistic one, but it looks natural. The last color we are going to go in for the hair is transparent umber. And here I don't mind if my surface is still wet from the yellow ochre, because we are going to create these nice strokes that have a lot of pigment and not that much water, so it doesn't melt that far, it's not going to spread. So I'm just slowly making my way around the hair, around the head, and creating shadows mainly around where the hair starts and ends, but also just creating some shadows in between. So I do a lot of hair strokes around the face, which goes from top to bottom. And as usual, it's not enough just to go with one layer. Some artists can do that, but I believe that's the most difficult thing ever with watercolors, is to do a desired effect with just one layer. So I'm not that advanced yet, so I'm just going to go in with many different layers and just working my way where I think it should be shadowed. So whenever you are experimenting with that, take your time and go very slowly, one by one, and you will get there eventually if you know what you are doing and if you know what you want to achieve, which is that the middle of the hair pieces are the most highlighted. You will get there. There are plenty of ways to paint the hair. For example, my favorite artist, Lisa Isato, she usually just goes for like a very simple one layer, and she has this one color. So there you can't see the hair strokes, you can't see anything. It's just one color block all over the hair, which is usually a little bit lighter towards the top of the head. So yeah, it's just up to you, however you want to do this. Now I'm doing wet on dry drops, and I do this in two different ways. One way is to paint the dots with the tip of the brush to touch the surface, and the other one is when you splash it. You can do this with a toothbrush, that's much more effective, or you can do it like I am doing it here, which is tapping the end of your brush in the direction where you want your dots to be. And of course, if you accidentally splash onto the face or onto the area where you don't want it, it's handy to have a tissue paper, a small tissue paper at hand, so you can lift up the color immediately. And now let's get back to the nose, and especially the nostrils. Let's make it a little bit darker as it should be. And when it is done, let's move on to the shadow underneath the nose. There always should, most of the time, there should be a shadow beneath the nose, except for when the light comes straight in directly from the middle of the face, so, or maybe below the face, so there wouldn't be any shadow because the sunlight or whatever light comes straight in the middle. But otherwise, if it's even slightly comes from above, then you should always paint a shadow beneath the nose. And just by that you can already see how much it improved the overall look. And I'm also adding a little bit of helio turquoise to that because of cohesiveness, if anything. And now I am creating shadows around the eyes, which is also another big important thing. What I'm doing here is creating shadows around the eyes with the same exact shade, transparent umber, and the same exact density that I created the shadows around her face with. So it's like kind of like the middle tones of this painting, if I may say. And what I'm doing here is kind of creating a thicker eyelash where the eyelashes are. I don't know, eyeliner. Yes, eyeline. And also beneath the eye, I'm creating some shadows just the way it would fall. Like you can see that right now what I'm doing is just connecting the shadows with that are the side of her face with underneath her eye. And now comes the most exciting part for me, which is the eyes. Sometimes I am surprisingly good at that, and other times I'm not that happy with it. But what I did here basically was that I kept the middle area highlighted as we did in the beginning of this video where I painted it with Sap Green. And I also kept the bottom low part of the eyeball with that Sap Green. So I only painted the top part with brown. I used first the mid-tone, and then I kept adding more and more color until I reached what I wanted to reach. It is usually the most dense and darkest just below the eyeline, the upper eyeline, because it casts some shadow onto the eyes, and then as we reach to the bottom it keeps being lighter and lighter. And for that reason you can already see how it's starting to come about that highlighted eyeball basically. And what I'm doing now is just adding an extra layer pupil, and when I'm done with that you can easily see that the highlighted white area is right in the middle of the pupil. And this is one way of doing the eye. However, I do like to add more than one highlight, so white spot basically, to the eyeball. I think it looks more natural, and because this girl is sad, I thought it appropriate to only create one single highlight for each eye. When working with watercolors, you should always keep in mind that we are working from light to dark, so once you have gone dark, you cannot really go back. There is an option to paint with gouache on top of watercolors, with which you can achieve kind of the same result, but it's another, medium to learn. So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to paint with gouache and then that's it. Gouache is completely different from how you work with watercolors, and it takes a lot of practice to get it right. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that you need to get the same exact result with the same exact shade if you want to correct with gouache. So now I'm going to just fix some things with transparent umber again. I think that is the most used color in this painting, and I just painted with the hair strokes mainly to fix whatever I didn't like about it. And now I'm going with 0.05 fine liner by Winsor & Newton, and I did speed up this process as well because it takes quite a long time, and as you can see there is not much to it. I'm just painting some details on the butterflies, and then I'm going to switch to Jelly Roll 08 thickness and painting dots to the end of the butterflies, which I also sped up because it's self-explanatory that I'm just painting a lot of dots. So I hope you did enjoy this video. Please let me know if you painted it. Please let me know how you like this video and what I should paint next, what you are most interested in. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.